Chapter 51, 50 Captain Marvel. So let me get this, we are going to a US military base to get info about this Dr. Lawson who somehow the Skrulls are after and is in your memories, I asked. Yes, replied Vaz. Okay then. I replied and sat with my eyes closed. Nick was there as our personal chauffeur. We reached the base where we were taken in custody after a while because we kept asking for Dr. Lawson. Nick finally came useful here, getting us out of a locked door. Vaz was happy to see him useful, whereas I thought that it would have been better had I just kicked the door. Well, I have to say this here, that Nick right now is much more different than the Nick seen in Avengers. At least he was less intense and mysterious than he was then. Well, for a lack of a better word, let's just say he was inexperienced. We made our way to the logistics, looking around for any file on Dr. Lawson. We found out that she was dead. And a file with Vaz details to follow the lead. We decided to go to the house of another pilot who was the last to see Vaz and Dr. Lawson. But before we could go, we were ambushed by SHIELD members. While I was fighting with them, Nick stood in the way. Hey, they are my colleagues, you don't get to kill them, said Nick. If you hadn't noticed, idiot, I have only knocked them out, I told Nick while pushing him out of the way. I easily subdued them, even beat Coulson to the ground, though I didn't hit him too hard. Coulson was such an underrated hero. Nick's boss was a Skrull. He was the one to order that we were terrorist or whatever, and Nick had joined us. After that we left for Rambo, the friend of Vaz. In a jet that we found in the US base. After landing, I went forward and knocked on the door. Hello, Mrs. Rambo, could we have a few minutes of your time? She leans out of the door only to see Vaz. Oh, Carol, you are alive. Saying so, she runs forwards and hugs Vaz while sobbing. A young girl also comes out and on seeing Vaz runs towards her and hugs her, saying, Aunt Carol. Wait a minute, Carol, Skrulls and Creo shit. She's Captain Marvel. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo, Captain_Nemo. Sleepy GN. Comment. 21 comments. Vote. Chapter 52, 51 The Truth. We went inside the house. I found a chair and sat down on it, processing what all had happened while Carol kept asking questions. Nick saw me sitting dazed and asked, You okay? Yeah, I am fine, just need to think a little, I replied. Carol Danvers, the second Captain Marvel in the comics, if I am right. Marvel of the Kree was the first, so where is he? Did he die or what? MCU didn't have a Captain Marvel, at least not to my knowledge. This or is definitely interesting. After some time we all sat for dinner. I was the one to break the icebreaker. So you were human before? I asked Carol. Yes, she replied. And you don't remember anything about it? I asked. No, I only get flashes of the past, just some pieces, she replied. Well, enjoy it while you can. It's not every day you get to know that you were inhuman, abducted by aliens who erased your memories. Did they perform any experiments on you? I asked, trying to lighten the mood. No, Carol replied, pretty pissed at my question. So why were you fighting the Skrulls? What did they do? Nick asked her. They just told us that Skrulls were responsible for killing a lot of people and it was our job to stop them, Carol replied. I intervened here. They lied to you. All eyes turned towards me. Skrulls are refugees who have been running away from the Kree for decades. And how do you know that? Nick asked. We were taught about all the current affairs of 9 realms in Asgard. I replied. And where is this Asgard? Fury asked. You wouldn't know, I told Carol. Well, considering that they hide your memory, it isn't a surprise that they would lie to you. Suddenly we were interrupted by a guest, Talos in his Skrull form. Wait a minute, I am not here to fight, said Talos. He points towards the door. We looked outside to see Monica, Rambo's daughter, surrounded by 2 Skrulls. Easy to say that while keeping a hostage saying. So I move forward and grab him by the collar. I am not really lying, I am only here to show you something and not to fight. I had to have some leverage after the both of you beat my men senseless in the last couple of days, said Talos. We will listen to you, but first let go of Monica, said Carol. Sure, and after some gesturing on Talos' part, Monica comes inside to join us. Talos then shows us a black box recording the recording of Carol's last flight with Dr. Lawson. So Carol got her powers from the explosion of the light speed engine. But why is my clone of Tesseract attracted towards her? To come clean, I didn't join them because it was fun, but because as soon as I saw Carol, the clone of Tesseract reacted towards her. After it finishes, Talos says Lawson was Marvel. She was helping us in using the light speed engine to leave and find a new home, but the Kree found her first and attacked her and took Carol with her. Well, what do you know, they made Marvel a woman, that too, one who didn't even have powers. Talos then asked for our help in finding Lawson's lab and the light speed engine so that they can find a new home. Comment. 10 comments. Vote. Chapter 53, 52 Fight. Carol, being the good person, immediately accepted to help them, but I on the other hand was not interested. Why should we help them? It's not our problem, we should just go and fight the Kree. Well, I have so much time to spare, let's just go, it will not be worth it to fight Carol on this. As we were preparing to leave, I asked Carol, how did you get your powers? Carol, all that was recorded in the black box. Don't explain, how did you get the powers? She looked at me, tried to determine whether she should tell me or not. When the light speed engine exploded, I was too close to it. Instead of killing me, it made changes to my body, making me like this. Well, getting powers from an explosion definitely sounds better than dying. Carol, Skrulls and I made changes to the jet so that it could fly in space and left to find Marvel's lab. We found Marvel's lab orbiting Earth. Once we went inside, we found traces of people living in it. We found Skrulls living in there, including Talos' family. So he wasn't doing it selflessly, was he? He just wanted to find his family. So selfish. I turned my attention in the center where I found, guess what, the Tesseract. Maybe Tesseract and I are connected, we keep finding each other. So the light speed engine is based on Marvel's understanding of the Tesseract. Now I understand why my clone of Tesseract reacted to Carol. She also has some sort of a copy of the Tesseract in here, maybe better than mine. But it seems that both of ours copy are different in their own right. My basically does what Tesseract did, control over space, but here's gives her power. Need to do more research on that and to find the extent of her powers. Yonrog and the rest of the Kree Star Force found us in the laboratory. Yonrog looked at Carol and said, "Fraternizing with the enemy. What did you do to your uniform? You can see they're not soldiers. Let them go. You can have me." Carol said, "Why is she so afraid of them? I can pretty much beat them to the ground with one hand. Well, let's just see what happens. I made you a better version of yourself. What's given can be taken away," said Yonrog. I intervened here. "I think you are wrong at that point. Neither you nor your supreme intelligence gave her this power," I told them while looking him in the eye with no fear. "We have no quarrels with you. Asgardian, leave and we will forget that you were here," said Yonrog. "You involved me in this quarrel when you abducted a human from Earth, so now tell me, are we going to fight or just talk?" saying. So I acted first and started to attack them. "Take the kids and go to safety," I yelled to Talos while fight Yonrog and Minerva. Carol was fighting with Korath while Nick and Romeo along with Talos took the Tesseract and the Skrulls to safety. Comment. 14 comments. Vote. Chapter 54, 53 Kree defeated. It took me 1 minute to defeat and throw Yonrog and Minerva in the corner. I then looked at Carol fighting Korath. I could see that something was holding back her power. There was a device just behind her ear which would glow whenever she tried to charge. Her power must have been placed by the Kree to limit her powers and keep her in control. I then went forward and punched Korath straight in the chest to send him flying. Carol looked at me strangely. "Why didn't you do that before?" she inquired of me while gasping for breath. "Was enjoying the view," I said, giving a smile. "By the way, I think we have a problem." "What?" she asked. "Do you know that you have a device at the back of your ear?" I asked. "Yes, I know. I was told that it was there to help me with my nightmares, but after what happened I don't know what's it for." "Well, what it is for is to keep your powers in check, probably so that you don't become a problem to the Kree." I went forward and grabbed it and then yanked it out. Few droplets of blood fell. I collected them, need to satisfy my inner scientist, while Carol shouted in pain but then regained her composure. "That stung," she said. "Well, how do you feel?" I asked her. She glows her hands, but this time her eyes and hair glow too. "Powerful," was what she replied. "Well, you certainly look the part." Pointing towards our captives, "What do we do about them?" "We send them back as a sign that if they come back to fight us we will defeat them again and again," said Carol. "How the hell would this work? Damn Marvel heroes who only think that good exists in people. We need a permanent solution for them." "No, that wouldn't be a permanent solution. Of what I know about the Kree, they would just send more and more people after you till they get the Skrulls. We need to send them a strong message," I told her. "Is there a way to contact the Supreme Intelligence?" "It would be there in their ship," replied Carol. "After locking up the Kree and making sure that the Skrulls were safe, we made our way to the Kree ship. I connected myself to talk to the Supreme Intelligence. It looked like TYR to me. So making use of the person memory and using the form of the person he respects the most so as to coax them into accepting your words. Nice thinking, but it won't work on me," I told it. "Asgardian, you have no business in interfering in our work and our war with Skrulls. Leave and we would forget about you," it yelled. Even I, in my most powerful voice, a voice filled with authority, replied, "I don't have to answer to you. You keep forgetting that Midgard is under the protection of Asgard and you involved us the very moment you kidnapped a mortal and made her your slave," I yelled back. "And what would happen if we attack you and the girl right now? You don't have any backup with you, do you?" It instigated me. "Do you think you Kree can handle declaring war on Asgards?" I said that in a mocking tone. Offended at that, it replied, "Who says anything about fighting Asgard? We would just kill you and be done with it. I don't think that Odin will declare war on us just due to the loss of one life." It got me there. I knew that Odin would not go to war with Kree due to my life, though TYR might start a fight. But what if that person is the apprentice of TYR, the son of Odin? I am pretty sure that he would make a move on you. Looking at the look on its face, I knew I had won. The Kree were afraid of Odin. Taking my chance, I declared, "You Kree are going to leave and leave Earth and the Skrulls alone, and I command you to do so under the authority of Odin the All-Father." "Very well, Asgardian, we will leave, but remember we won't forget this shame," and it forcefully ceased our connection. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Captain_Nemo. Longest chapter till now. Yippee. I thought of using Odin name to get the Supreme Intelligence to have fear, as I think that his name should have some weight in the cosmos. Comment. 31 comments. Vote. Chapter 55, 54. Captain Marvel ends. Wasn't supreme intelligence being too cocky, and what did it mean by that? It will remember. I will make sure that he remembers. When we were going back, I picked up the members of Kree Star Force and accidentally broke their limbs while throwing them back in their ship. The Skrulls thanked Carol and me for saving their kind. I saw Goose going for Fury's eye. I with great speed held her paw. Thanks, otherwise it would definitely have scratched by I, said Fury to me. No problem. Turning towards Talos, I asked, what now? You're going to stay on Earth or going somewhere? I think we will stay on Earth for a few days gathering all the supplies, and then we will leave to find a new home. I think that would be easy for us now that the Kree are not after us, replied Talos while getting nods from all the Skrulls near him. And what about you? I asked, turning towards Carol. What's your plan now that the Kree have gone back? Well, honestly, I don't know. I think I should leave with Skrulls so as to help them in finding a new home. Wanna join? Asked Carol. Now I am happy here on Earth, already traveled a lot in my past, want to settle in a single place for now, I replied. Few days later, the Skrulls had everything they needed for travels. Nick, Monica, Romeo and I were here to bid goodbye to the Skrulls and Carol. So you really leaving, huh? I asked her. Yes, she replied. You know you don't have to leave, you can stay with us, you have a family here too, Romeo told Carol. I know, but I need to help them find a new home to make my conscience clean. I hope you understand, replied Carol. She then turns towards Monica and tells her how she would miss her, and then towards Fury, who right now has both his eyes. She hands over a modified pager to Fury and tells him for emergency only. She then comes towards me. I would have given one to you too, but I think you wouldn't need it, she said. You know me so well. I then gave her a light hug. And you know this, if you need my help then you could always rely on me, saying. So I hand over her a bracelet. Just pull the beads of the bracelet and I will get a ping of your position. I just gave one distress signal sender to Fury and now you are giving one to me. Life does come full circle, does it not? She said that laughingly. I turned towards Talos. Well, I wish you best of luck on your journey. They don't need luck, they have me, saying so Carol flies away. Well, I hope to see you all soon, but not too soon. With this, Carol and the Skrulls leave. I drive Monica and Romeo back home. After dropping them, Nick, Goose and I were the only one left. So what are your thoughts about joining an organization to safeguard Earth from Earth? Nick asked me. You got that idea seeing Carol and me fight? Yeah. Well then I think you should call it Avengers, should you? It's got a nice ring to it and it would honor her too. Nice name for it. So you ready to join? Asked Nick. Now I like my freedom too much, and just an advice, you should be careful alongside Goose, she could literally eat anything and everything, saying so I left, leaving Nick thinking about my suggestions. Well, if the Avengers are still formed then I was the one to name them. Now that's an achievement not everyone gets. Creators' thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Captain_Nemo. Definitely ain't letting Goose destroy Nick's eye, not happening. Jussie imagine that he trusted someone he shouldn't have, or a mission earned wrong in which he lost his eye, but not to Goose. Comment. 19 comments. Vote. Chapter 56, 55. Back to Kamataj. I am in my cave in Himalayas, currently looking at different vials of blood in front of me. All these belong to Steve, Bucky and Carol. Steve's blood is the most fascinating, especially considering his before and after blood. The difference is huge. It's like all the cells in his body started to radiate vitality. But how is this possible? For doing such a thing it would need energy, that too lots of it. The energy must come from somewhere. I went into my battle mode to take a look at the blood as it would help me in identifying it. And don't worry, I had already enchanted the cave the same way Odin did to hide my mana from the outside world. I took a look at the blood again and what I saw shocked me. There was mana coming towards the blood, probably being drawn from a dimension. I only have conjecture right now, but I think that Eskrin was a magician. He must have tried to merge science and magic to develop the human body. That is the missing element, isn't it? Magic. Every time that people tried to replicate his serum they failed cause they only looked at it through the perspective of a scientist. There was always a fatal flaw with almost all of the super soldier serum created cause they all lacked the secret source magic. Got to ask Ancient One about Eskrin later on when I see her. Now on to my next task, which I had been stalling for a long time. What does my domain do? I know that my domain is of samsara, the cycle of death and rebirth, pretty much like the phoenix, but how to control it? What power does it gives me? I spent the next decade trying to figure out the extent of my domain. After all these years, the most I could do with my domain was to bring back dead plants to life. I tried it with animals but it didn't work. Something just stopped them midway in coming back alive. Well, I would have to work on it for later on. I then decided to travel to Comatage to talk with Ancient One about Eskrin. Comatage still looked the same as it did years before. I went and requested for an audience with the Ancient One. She was having tea when I entered. "It's good to see you again, Mr. Valley, but I thought that you would have left Earth by now." Tea. I gestured her to pour some for me. The thought of leaving never really struck me, though I did have opportunity to leave, but somehow I couldn't get my mind off Earth. "I remember Miss Danvers asking you to go with her, but you didn't." I found it strange that you would decide to stay on a boring planet like Earth. Earth is not boring in any sense. I think it's fun to be on Earth and look at how these people change and make changes to the thing around them, developing so much over time. It's good to see this change and I would like to witness the change. Asgard has stagnated with time. "Very well, it's your choice to stay here, but I think you didn't come here to talk to me about this, did you?" "Oh yes, I have a question. Did you ever teach a person named Abraham Eskrin?" "Oh yes, long ago, maybe at the start of the 20th century. He had a sharp mind and wanted to study on human body enhancement using magic, though to my knowledge he didn't succeed when he was here," she said. "He did succeed in the end. Just before he died he did succeed in achieving his goal," I told her. Comment. 16 comments. Vote. Chapter 57, 56. Welcome to Wakanda. It's good to hear that he did, but how did he die? Even the Ancient One in her infinite wisdom don't know everything. He was shot by a Hydra agent as soon as his experiment was successful. Well, it's a pity to hear that, but at least he succeeded to achieve his dream. Well, at least my conjecture was correct. Eskrin was a magician. This really answers so many questions. I showed her the blood droplet of Steve. So did he connect to a dimension for vitality and strength? This drop of blood is receiving energy from some dimension. Maybe I have no idea which dimension he would have connected to. But you know a lot about dimensional energy. Do you practice magic, Mr. Valley? I have dabbled in the arts of sorcery, but not too much. All that I have is surface knowledge, I told her. So now what's your plan? I don't know, maybe I will just stay here and pass my time, maybe teach your students some hand-to-hand fight skills. Well, I would appreciate if you don't do that. We don't fight much hand-to-hand here. After having a delicious cup of tea I bid her adieu. Well, I really have nothing to do for now till the canon starts. Let's go to Wakanda. I have to give Itri some vibranium too. I left Comatage for Africa. All I knew about the location of Wakanda was that it was somewhere in East Africa, and that is a pretty large area. Good thing I have time to go through that area. I have been looking for Wakanda for the last few days. But haven't found it yet, though I was able to hear some rumors of a futuristic city somewhere towards the south from where I am. After a few more days I finally found Wakanda, or the edge of it. I saw something of a force field when I threw a rock through it, passed through, but when I tried to, it electrocuted me, though that didn't have any effect on me, but a normal mortal would have been knocked out. Suddenly I was surrounded by Wakandian forces. Almost all of them were shocked to see me standing grinning. "Hello, I am here to meet you, King T'Chaka," I tell them. They talked amongst themselves in their native language, thinking that I can't understand them, but they were so wrong. We Asgardian can understand and speak any language of the Nine Realm. They were discussing about what to do with me. Some of them were saying that they were confused to see me awake, and finally they decided to do what I said, take me to T'Chaka. Comment. 54 comments. Vote. Chapter 58. 57 Kidnapping the King. I was taken to a throne room. On the way I say Wakanda in all its glory. Wakanda is very different from all the other countries on Earth. It is too modern, if I have to say. It's so technologically advanced that it puts every other countries on Earth to shame. In the throne room I saw T'Chaka sitting on his throne with the elders on his side. I even saw a young T'Challa with Shuri on the back. "You stand before T'Chaka, the king of Wakanda, kneel and pay your respect," shouted. Well, someone. I don't kneel, but I did give a slight bow to show my respect. "Stranger, you come from far to talk to me, even calling me by my name, even surviving the electrocution by the force field which should have knocked out people cold. Tell me, what do you seek?" T'Chaka was weary of me, sitting on the throne, tensed, ready to pounce if I even flinched. Maybe it was his panther senses or sixth sense telling him that I was dangerous. "Well, to be honest, I am here to ask you for vibranium," I replied honestly. T'Chaka and everyone's eyes narrowed at my request. Suddenly the atmosphere in the room became quite tensed. "And why do you think that we would hand over some of our most precious resource to you, a stranger?" T'Chaka asked. "Well, because I said please." Everyone expression at this moment was like they had seen a madman. But then I continued. "That was just for fun. You would give me some vibranium because then I will owe you a favor which you could cash in with me anytime," I replied. T'Chaka, still tensed, asked me, "Why do you think that we would need a favor from you and you would be able to complete it?" Well, owning a favor from a god for just some vibranium does sound a good deal to me. This gets a laugh from the surrounding people, who now literally thought that I was mad. Forgive me, it seems like I have been rude to not introduce myself. I am Vali Asmund, god of Samsara. The ground starts to shake with my proclamation. And there I stood, wearing my Asgardian clothes with my gauntlet in full view. The people in the room steadied themselves while I teleported near T'Chaka and took him with me. The throne room descended in chaos as the people realized that their king has been abducted. Some were still reeling in shock of what happened. How could a person claiming to be a god just come in and leave with their king while being still under their watch? Ramandar was the first to react. "Dora Milaje, get ready, we need to find our king," saying. So she left while Shuri and T'Challa followed her. Shuri in a scared voice asked Ramandar, "Mother, we will find father, wouldn't we?" "We will," T'Challa ensured her. "Don't worry, your father can handle tough situations like these," Ramandar replied. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo was too tired yesterday, that's why there was no third chapter. Comment. 14 comments. Vote. Chapter 59, 58 Relax. Teeth Shaker pounced on me the moment the teleportation was complete. He tried to scratch me. Well, that's to be expected. He is the Black Panther, though I have to give credit to him. He regained his bearing very fast. Normally when a person teleports for the first time it takes a lot to take it in. I catch a hold of his hand. Hey, clam down, I am not here to fight. You kidnap me and say that you are not here to fight. He tries to attack me again, but I hold him off. Enough, I just wanted to talk to you privately. That's why I brought you here, and look over there. I point towards left. We are just outside of Wakanda. I could have taken you anywhere, but I brought you here just so to make it clear that you are not my hostage. That calms him down, and I sat down, patting the ground as a sign to have him sit, but he doesn't speak. What do you want to say? Actually, I didn't have anything to say to him. Bringing him here was just a power move from my side to show who was in charge of the conversation and how I could have gone in and taken the vibranium without them finding out. You all have worked very hard and smart in using vibranium to their fullest potential. It's nice to see mortal develop so much, but why don't you share this with the outside world? I have traveled the earth, but no place is as advanced as this. Teeth Shaker looked me in the eyes and answered me truthfully. I don't think they are ready for it. The outside world is fighting and fighting every time with the weapons that we have. It would only escalate if we share them. My brother had the same view, but he too didn't understood how many lives would be lost as compared to the ones that would be saved. Beer, I said while handing him a can. What? Here, have a beer, it helps in giving some relief. I just asked a small question and you gave such a serious answer. Teeth Shaker took the can and joined me in drinking it while sitting down. Ain't afraid that I poisoned it. If you are really a god and can teleport, that you don't need to rely on petty tricks like that to kill me. Well, you are right about that. Both of us having beer watching the sun. Why didn't you just take away the vibranium? You could have came it and taken it and no one would have known. Well, I am not a thief and I am a god, so have to keep up that image. Can't be known as a god who steals. Imagine what it would do to my image. So don't you have big responsibility, watching over humans? We don't do that. We don't care about what happens in your life, but yeah, if there is something big threatening Earth, then we do come look at it. Must be nice not having responsibility. Oh, it is. You look like you are burdened by responsibility. Sometimes just having a can of beer while sitting watching the sunset feels like bliss, doesn't it? It does. Well, here I conjure a coin. Keep this in exchange of some vibranium. Here it is. I owe you a favor. Rub the coin and I will be there for you. Okay, we just sat there for a while. Looks like your people are here. Comment. 21 comments. Vote. Chapter 60, 59. Back in Wakanda. Jets and people start to come towards where Teeth Shaker we're sitting. Get away from our king, said the voice coming out of the jet. I was surrounded by a lot of warriors from Wakanda while Teeth Shaker sat there holding his laughter. You gonna just sit there and watch? I asked Teeth Shaker. Stay down everyone, he's not an enemy. Teeth Shaker said. That made them lower their weapons, but they still looked at me with hostility. Why look at me like that? I just talked privately with your king. I did kill your father. That joke didn't help even a bit. Instead they looked at me with more hostility. Come on, let's get in the jet and go back. Teeth Shaker told me. Why do we need to go so slow? Heads up all of you, we will meet you back at Wakanda. Saying so, I placed my hand on Teeth Shaker's shoulder and teleported back to the throne room. Could you teach me that? It really makes traveling easy, said Teeth Shaker when we reached the throne room. Sure, if that's how you wanna cash in your favor, I said with a cheeky grin. Well, I think I will have to pass on that. He said. We then traveled to the inner parts of his palace, nowhere near the Asgardian palace but still better than many places on earth. We reach inside to see Ramandar tensed along with Shuri and T'Challa both sitting alongside her. Shuri was the first to notice us and comes running towards T'Chaka and hugs him. Dad, she cried, you are okay? We were so tensed. Shush shush my dear, I am okay, she replied. T'Chaka consoling her. Ramandar and T'Challa came forward, and I can tell you, if looks could kill I would have already died a couple dozens of time. You are okay my love? Ramandar asked. Yes dear, don't worry, T'Chaka said while placing one hand on T'Challa's shoulder and saying, take what happened right now as an exercise. One day you would be the king and have to handle situations every day. T'Challa nods while asking, why did he take you, and is he lying? He just wanted to have a conversation with me in private, and no, he is not lying. I thought that would have been clear after what he did in the throne room earlier. Hey, I am standing right here. If you forgot, you could ask me the same questions. I said while feeling bad being ignored. I forgot for a second, Valley, that you were there. T'Chaka said. Attendants, get this man a room. Then he turns towards me. I will meet with you later to complete our trade, okay, dollar? Yes. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Captain_Nemo. Hate it when I drive myself to a corner while writing the chapter. Changed a dialogue on popular demand and because it was hilarious, and thanks for the idea. Comment. 27 comments. Vote. Chapter 61, 60 Roaming. So I was given a room to stay, but I got bored and started to roam around the place. I have to say, even though Wakanda was too advanced, the people had not forgotten their roots. They were still used to the old lifestyle, not relying on modern technology unless they were necessary. I remember that there were different tribes in Wakanda, though they were united under a single ruler, the Black Panther, but I didn't like the fact that they don't have democracy to choose their leader and have to rely on the older method of the survival of the fittest. Well, I can't change and fix everything. While I was walking, I heard a voice from behind me. You shouldn't be here. I turned around to see a little Shuri. Father had sent you to your room. You should have taken permission from him before coming out, she said. I think you misunderstood something, kid. I am a guest, not a hostage of your father, and no one, including your father, can stop me from roaming if I want to. I told her. That intimidated her a little, but she tried her best to not show any fear. Why did you take my father with you? Well, I just wanted to talk with him privately, and in my defense I brought him back untouched. I replied in my defense. Chocolate? I asked her suddenly. What? I hand her a big chocolate bar. And anyone wondering about from wherein always get the things is that I have a small pouch which I carry, and using the clone of Tesseract I have connected it to a pocket dimension where I store things. The reason I created a pocket dimension using Tesseract and not create a pouch with infinite space is that with the infinite space pouch, if I lose it, all the things are gone, but if I lose this pouch that I have now, I could still access the pocket dimension using the Tesseract. The pouch is just there, was convenience like a door. Come on, let's go back to you, mother. She would be worried about you, I told her while I held one of her hand while she had the chocolate bar in the other. We made way to Ramandar's room while I asked her questions about Wakanda. Children are really gullible. Shuri. What are you doing with him? Ramandar shouted and yanked Shuri away from me. Don't worry, contrary to your belief, I am not here for a fight. I assured her. You kidnapped my husband the very first time we saw you, and I don't care what he says about you. I will judge you as I see fit. She said. Well then, judge me, I don't care. By Shuri saying so, I left. Comment. 31 comments. Vote. Chapter 62, 61 Goodbye. The next day I met Teeth Shaker to complete our transaction. I hope you liked what you saw in Wakanda, said Teeth Shaker. It's a good place, not as impressive as the place I come from, but a good one for mortals. I told him. You never did tell me where you come from. Asgard, it's out there in space. You are an alien. Yeah, though it was understandable when I said I am a god. Wait, are all gods alien? Pretty much, though mortals can achieve godhood, it's difficult for you. Even your best god is an alien. They came to Earth after we Asgardian had left. What? How do you know about Bast? Teeth Shaker looking at me shocked as I had said her name. Well, you didn't think that I won't notice that you are a vassal of Bast. She gives you enhanced ability beyond a normal mortal, and in return you give her the faith of your people, an equivalent exchange. Wait, it all that you are saying true? Yes, why would I lie? I say this while looking at him. I didn't know anything about the faith or any deal. I just thought that Bast looked over us because of her benevolence. Teeth Shaker looked as if his world view was crumbling. Well, I guess you wouldn't know, cause the deal would have been made by you ancestors and they might have not been able to tell you. I tried to console him. Yes, it must have been like that, but tell me, will it cause a problem for my people giving their faith to Bast? Teeth Shaker asked with a worried look. He really cares about his people. No, it wouldn't cause him anything. They will be fine. That's good, he said with a relieved expression. So let's go get the vibranium, okay? Yes, let's go. After that he fetched and brought me some vibranium and we talked for a while, after which I told him that I will be leaving. You sure I can't convince you to stay here? Asked Teeth Shaker. No, I think I have overstayed my welcome here, even though everyone knows we just had some talks alone. The people look at me like they want to kill me. Teeth Shaker laughed at this. Well, have a nice journey. Wherever you are going. Oh, I will, and remember, just rub the coin and I will be there to do the favor. Okay. Saying so, I teleported to my cave back in the Himalayas. Well, now that I have vibranium, I could get some beer and be off to Nidavellir and complete my promise to them. To complete one promise, I had to give a favor. If this cycle continues, then I will always owe someone. Sigh. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Captain_Nemo. Happy birthday to me. Comment. 33 comments. Vote. Chapter 63, 62 Back to Nidavellir. So I am back at my lair in the Himalayas. It looks exactly as I left it. So I have planned on going to Nidavellir to finally get the promise on my chest, but before I go I had to collect some good beer. So I just did that. It would be a good gift. I had collected barrels and barrels of beer. With all my preparations done, I proceeded to teleport myself to Nidavellir. Hello everyone, how are you? I shouted just outside their gate. One of the dwarfs looked out and on seeing me said, "Oh Valley, it's you, come on in." I followed him while making small talk. So how's everything here? I asked. It's okay, same old, though we have been busy making a few weapons for Asgard. Oh, Asgard has asked for weapons. Yes, they always do so every other century to make sure of the quality of their weapons. So why are you back? Missed us? Yes, I missed this place some bit, but I am here to complete the promise I made to Eitri to give him the metal I promised. Oh nice, I hope that metal is something good. Oh, don't worry, it will be. Saying so, he lead me to meet Eitri. My king, I have brought Valley Asmund with me, the dwarf shouted, and then left. I saw Eitri come out drinking and looking absolutely hammered. Oh Valley, nice to see you again, burp. So what you here for? I came here to complete our deal. I brought the metal I told you about. That causes Itri to raise his eyebrows, and then in a sudden way his drunken demeanor is gone and he is in full focus. Show me the metal valley. I hand over the vibranium to him. He was in shock for a while. He couldn't identify what the metal was. He hit it a few times, a crude method but one which gives result. You were honest in telling me that this metal can absorb all types of kinetic energy. I need to do more tests to find out more of its properties. You wanna join me? He asked, though he didn't wait for my answer and ran to his forge. I followed behind him. I am not missing a chance to see the best blacksmith in work. Hey Uri, I shouted, I have also brought you a very tasty drink from my adventures. I was talking about the beer. But Itri didn't pay any attention to me and had his eyes glued on the fancy piece of toy he got. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo, Captain_Nemo. Thanks for all your wishes. Comment. 16 comments. Vote. Chapter 64, 63 Filler Chapter. Do you know how it was formed and any of its properties? Asked Itri. I know that it was formed due to a meteorite landing on Midgard. One of the smartest mind of Midgard said that S1/3 rode the weight of steel, giving it a specific gravity of 2.6. The people who found it used to become the most advanced people on Midgard. I told him they ought to have become. Just look at the properties of this metal, it literally makes most of the other metals obsolete. If you have this in a large amount, then you won't even need most of the other metal, and even then the results would be far better, said Itri. Itri performed a couple of experiments on the metal and then said, that's it for today, let's go. I took out some barrels of beer. Here, have this, got it on Midgard. He took a sip and then picked up the whole barrel, drinking it like it would be stolen. Kid, that's the best beer I had, don't tell the others about it. Otherwise they all would be running to Midgard for this. So how much more barrels you got? Asked Itri. More than you could think of. While I took out more from my pouch. Itri was staring at my pouch and then said, nice pouch you got there. How did you get it to work so fast? The normal magic rune methods requires more time than yours. You know about runes? I asked Itri, cause honestly I was surprised at him having knowledge of it, cause it is a less learned subject cause of its complexity. I picked it up while forging, though I admit that I am not too good at it. And how do you think my creations are better than the others? Runes, they are my secret sauce. But you didn't answer my questions. Well, now that's a secret. I said it, laughing. Leave it if you don't want to say. We made our way back to the restrooms while having beer. So how did you come here? Asked Himdall. To open the door for you, he asked. Nah, just teleported outside. Why? You sure, kid? You should be teleporting, considering that the last I heard all the mana you had was in the gauntlet. Oh, don't worry about me running out. I have a lot of mana in this bad boy, and it's better to just use it than to let it stay unused. Well, it's your mana, so your decision. What about my room? Is someone using it, or it's like how I left it? I asked. Oh, it should be the same way you left it. Saying so, he went his way while I went to my old room. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo, Captain_Nemo. Was free, so wrote this filler. Comment. 29 comments. Vote. Chapter 65, 64 Filler 2. So Itri worked on the vibranium to find out its property, but didn't leave before asking me for more beer. And when I asked what he did with all those I gave him yesterday, he told me that he had finished them already. I have only one word for him: beast, a drinking beast. I wished him well and told him that I would leave for Midgard in a while. Midgard, why do you spend so much time on that primitive place? Asked Itri. Well, they provide quite an entertainment and you always get to see something new over there. What's the point of being so advanced if you get bored every day? Look at yourself, don't you feel bored and just spend your day drinking? I asked him. Yeah, I do, but comfort is good, isn't it? I looked at me asking. Comfort is good, but if you become too comfortable then you become stagnant, and stagnation is not good. That's why I spend my time there to pass it. It's fun to see what they have in store. They just keep surprising you. Look at he vibranium and the beer, they are certainly interesting. I replied. Well, you are right about that. Maybe I will visit Migard someday. Well, do somehow camouflage yourself, cause they would be pretty scared to see a giant like you. Huh, they should be scared of me, said I while laughing. Well, I can't say for sure whether they would be scared or not, but they definitely would be shocked to learn that you belong to the race of dwarfs. I said while giving a chuckle. Why, they don't know that word. No, they do. They have stories and legends about dwarfs, and in each one of them dwarfs are represented as short stature individuals. I said that while suppressing my laugh. What, how could they make such false claims? I would wipe them out just because of it, said I enraged, but since they make such good wine I will just let them be. He took one more sip of his beer. Well, I think I would be leaving, saying. So I bid my goodbyes and teleported back to Earth. I teleported back to my lair in Himalayas. Well, I think Iron Man should be starting soon. Do I need to interfere in it? Cause I don't find any need to. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Want me to change something in Iron Man? Not in mood to write today. Comment. 23 comments. Vote. Chapter 66, 65 Start of an Era. I have been roaming for a while. It was 2008 and I was sure that the events of Iron Man should be starting soon. And I was prepared for that. Imagine my surprise when a few days later I saw the news of Tony Stark's kidnapping while getting a haircut. Served him good, said the barber. I was shocked to see this kind of image of Tony in front of the people. Why? I asked him. He has been making these weapons of destruction all his life. These weapons do nothing but cause pain. Imagine with all the resources, money and intelligence he has, what all he can do, but no, he is just busy making money and being a wastrel. Well, I can't refute that Tony was all what the barber said right now, but with time he will change. Well, I don't see anything that I would like to change in the events of Iron Man. So I did the best thing I could do for me. I bought shares of Stark Enterprises. Apparently their price had dropped cause of Tony's kidnapping. I bought just because I wanted to show off in front of Tony later on and be cheeky. I had no other reason to do so. But imagine my surprise when I saw that someone else was also busy buying, but I outdid him. I was pretty sure it must have been Obadiah so as to become the majority holder. I became one of the major shareholder in Stark Enterprises and arranged for a meeting with Obadiah Stane. Obadiah and I had a meeting in the boardroom of Stark Building. I deliberately arrived late as a power move and saw Obadiah and Pepper waiting for me. I am so sorry for being late, traffic was crazy. By the way, nice to meet both of you, I told them while extending my hand to shake with Obadiah. Nice to meet you too, Mr. Valley. I am Obadiah Stane and this is my assistant, Miss Pepper Potts. And no need for any apologizes. Traffic's crazy at this time of the year. I then greeted Pepper and went on to talk with Obadiah. Forgive me, but Mr. Valley, I hadn't heard about your name ever before your purchase of our shares. Could you tell me about your background? Asked Pepper. She's a sharp one, at least better than Obadiah in that matter, cause she tried to find my background. Well, Miss Potts, I am usually a silent partner in many businesses and prefer to keep a low key. That's why you must not have heard of me. That answer seemed to satisfy Stain but not Pepper. I changed the subject soon. So Mr. Stain, let's get to businesses here. Tell me, what are your plans to stabilize the share price which is dropping so fast? Stain then went on to explain to me how the prices will be stabilized, and he did say one more thing. We are also coming with a special new product later on, boasted Obadiah. Oh, what is it and who is developing it? I was pretty sure it would be something he would have forced Tony to build in his captivity. Well, I won't tell you much about it cause it's a secret, but look forward to it. With that we talked for a while, after which I wished them farewell. Obadiah POV. Who does he think he is to make me wait for this long? Had he not intervened, I would have been the major shareholder right now. I have to think of some way to get rid of him later, just like Tony. Speaking of Tony, I must force him to give me something to stabilize the prices of the share. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Captain_Nemo. Do you all need me to write what all happened in movie, like the scenes of Tony in captivity, cause they would be the same as in the movie, and I don't want to write useless words just to increase words count, as you all must already know what happened in the movie. Comment. 22 comments. Vote. Chapter 67, 66. Let's try. So the events of Iron Man are going on, but Tony isn't back yet from his captivity, so there should be no Iron Man armor right now. In the meantime, I am free. I had nothing to do, so I started looking for familiar names. Searched about Stephen Strange first. He was still a doctor, not that I had any doubts about it. Then I went to look on for some more names, especially those that weren't referred to in MCU. I searched for Charles Xavier and I got some result. He was well-known educator who had his school much like in the X-Men movies, but most of his information felt like incomplete, like they were necessary withheld. Then I looked for Eric Lehnsherr. Didn't find much about him except for small pieces with Magneto name on them, that too in passing, and the sentences not making much sense. Pretty sure that his information is being kept hidden by S.H.I.E.L.D. Then I searched for mutants. Their info was kept hidden, and I even found that when I published an article about mutants, a fictional news, then it got deleted automatically. Very soon someone is keeping a watch about news related to mutants and getting rid of it the moment he finds it. Probably some branch of the government. Well, at least now I know that they exist, so maybe let's visit them later and see how they fare over here. Well, I should go and visit Beyonder. It has been long since last did. So I went back to my cave in Himalayas and went into meditation. Yo, I said as soon as I saw the white light across me. Hey, long time no see, said Beyonder. Well, yeah, though I like what you did to this place. The place looked different now. Instead of being just a pure white landscape with nothing in it, it now had furniture, sofa, bed and chair, with even a fireplace. Well, I did look at your memory and realized how like a savage I lived. So when you left I decided to upgrade my standard of living, and here we are. Well, got to give it to you, it looks nice now, cozy, I told him. Want to look at an interesting place I visited recently? I could see stars in his eyes when I said so. Yes, yes, he said, giddy with excitement. It sucks that only piece of interaction he has with anyone is with me only. And then I showed him my memories of Earth all the while from World War till now. After watching the memories, instead of being excited like he used to be, he was serious this time, and after a few moments asked me, why do people fight? Why can't they just talk and settle their dispute? Well, that's a question no one has answered to. People mainly fight because they want more. It's mainly due to greed. It's difficult to satisfy it. He listened to my answer but didn't seem much convinced. So did you like what all you saw? I asked him to break the ice. Yeah, good to see more people and what all they have made when they are so weak and fragile. By the way, what is that shiny thing inside of you now, said Beyonder laughing and then extended his arm to pull out the copy of Tesseract out of me. Oh, that's a copy of the space stone from my dimension. I told him. Hey, maybe I could use this to bring you to my world, I said, pondering over this idea as it should be possible. Beyonder became giddy at this idea. Oh yes, let's try it. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Have no idea why you all thought that I am dropping this novel. Comment. 53 comments. Vote. Chapter 68, 67 Meeting a Fighter. Well, things didn't work out. I couldn't open a portal back to my home. The Tesseract was nothing more than a stone in Beyonder's universe. What happened? Seeing me looking remorseful, Beyonder asked. It didn't work, I said. Beyonder looked sad, and at that moment I realized the reason why it didn't work. Infinity stones don't work in reality other than the one they belong in it. I looked at him to see that he was sad. Don't worry, someday I will find a way to bring you to my world. I tried to console him. You promise? He asked me with an emotion-filled voice with big tear-filled eyes. How can I say no to that? Yeah, I will. But I knew at this moment that this promise is going to come back and bite me later. I stayed with him for a while, and let me tell you, Beyonder is not one to lose at a pinball game. I came back after days of sorely losing at pinball. After coming back, I found that events of Iron Man had already finished. Obadiah dead and Tony already outed himself as Iron Man. So I found no way to pass my time, so I started a journey around the world once again. I had bought more shares of Stark Enterprises, as I had already entrusted my agent to buy share as soon as there is a big drop. Suffice to say, I was the second largest shareholder now after Stark smiling face with sunglasses. I thought of getting arc reactor for myself but found no use for it. Fury's big week should be coming up in a year or so few days later I was in China and saw a group of gangsters fighting with one man. And that man defeated all of them with ease even before I went to help him. You okay, dude? I was just coming to help you, I told him. I am fine. They couldn't have done anything to even if they were twice as powerful. Still, thanks, not many people come forward to help, he said. No problem, man. By the way, you native of this place, cause I am lost and you English is quite good too, I told him. Well, thanks. Practice makes a man perfect, and yeah, I am a native of this place. Come on, let me show you around, he said. I extended my hand forward and said, I am Valley Asmund. And you are? The name's Shanghai. Nice to meet you. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Been unwell for the past few days. Sorry for short chapter. Could have made it bigger by adding Iron Man event, but that would have been cheating. Comment. 27 comments. Vote. Chapter 69, 68 Spa. So why are you in China, business or pleasure? Asked Shanghai. No business, I am here only for traveling. You any place that serve good hot pot, read somewhere that people should try it if they are in China, I asked. Well, I do know a place, replied Shanghai. And so Shanghai and I were sitting eating hot pot. While talking, I deliberately pushed a cup down the table which Shanghai caught easily. He then looked at me and said, why test me? With a raised eyebrow. I know that you are powerful. I can see that in your eye, he told me. Well, it was certainly a sight to see one man alone beat thugs so easily. Just wanted to see if what Kay saw was true, I said while still focusing on my hot pot. It was quite good. What do you say we go out and have a friendly spa? I asked him. On one condition, the loser pays the bills for the other person's dinner. Shang replied, completely into that idea. We finished and left to fight. After finding a secluded area, we both took our stance and then threw a handkerchief in the air, and as soon as it landed we started to fight. Shanghai stood there waiting for me to do the first move. I obliged and ran towards him, throwing barrages of punches at him. Keep in mind that I had limited my strength, cause I don't want to kill Shanghai, cause even a punch at my quarter of a power can kill him. Face with tears of joy. Shang sidestepped them and ducked to give a punch direct into my gut. Shang was faster, much faster than a normal human. I got to give it to him, and the control he had on his body was something awe-striking. I replied with a punch on his head and pushed him far to make some distance. We continued back and forth, me improving my technique while fighting him. What did you think? I was only fighting him for fun. I just wanted to improve my fighting skills. After a long time of this fight, and after I knew that I couldn't improve any more, I decided to end the fight. I punched him in the gut with a good punch with enough strength to end the fight. You were holding back, weren't you? Shanghai. Smart of him to figure it out. Yes, when I said so, Shanghai finally gave up and sat down on the ground to calm his breath. Here, take this saying. So I hand him a phone. It has my number if you want to contact me. And why would want to contact you? He asked. Well, friends do keep in touch, don't they? I said. So that's what we are, friends, cause we fought once, he asked cheekily, though he did take the phone. Well, we have a saying at the place from where I come from, the best way to know a man is by fighting him. Weird saying, said Shanghai. Well, let's go, someone owes me a dinner and I haven't eaten well in years, and so many cuisines to try. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. I wrote in the previous chapter to been unwell, that's why so few chapters. Bana Yaran Se Mera Jahan. Comment. 21 comments. Vote. Chapter 70, 69 One Punch Man. I am back in America right now after spending almost all the money Shanghai had and still not being satisfied eating. We settled on the condition that he owes me a favor as a repayment of the bet. The events of Iron Man have finished. I came back to find that Tony Stark had outed himself as Iron Man, resulting in the price of my stocks of Stark Industries skyrocketing. It was good to see that. Call me greedy, but it's always nice to have more money. Few days later, I was just walking on the streets of New York when the news of a might creature, an abomination wreaking havoc on the streets of Harlem, came on the television. So looks like the event of Incredible Hulk are going on. Good thing I had already prepared my costume for this. I had made my costume just like the Sentry in the comics. I just loved his character. I immediately flew to Harlem. Yes, flew, not teleport, cause I am sure that S.H.I.E.L.D. will go through all the footage surrounding the incident and I don't want my teleporting powers be caught. I reached Harlem to see Blinsky, the abomination wreaking havoc, while Hulk was fighting him. These guys were totally oblivious to all the damage they were causing. Too many buildings destroyed and people stuck in the rubble. First and foremost, instead of running to fight Abomination as many people would have done, I went forward to help the people. The police and other aid had not arrived yet. Maybe they were rushing here, but none had reached here except for some military soldier that Ross had brought here with him. After a few minutes of quick work of getting people out of the rubble and getting others to help them, I left to fight Abomination. Abomination noticed me walking toward him while laughing, clearly amused to see a small person coming toward him unafraid. He had just smashed Hulk far away. Maybe this gave him confidence. I walked towards him without any rush and he wasn't even worried, and then I punched him. He allowed me to punch him, clearly confident and unaware of my abilities. Idiot him. Abomination was flung away due to the strength of my punch. Shock and pain was made clear to me by the look in his eyes. Before he could fly and smash more buildings, I ran behind him and catched him. He tried to struggle free but couldn't. I held him and flew a bit in the air. Hulk came running back in this moment and stopped just to see me holding Abomination with ease. Shock was evident in Hulk's eyes. "Don't worry, I got this," I said to Hulk. I don't know whether he understood it, but without a care I knocked Abomination out. Well, I am clearly above Abomination in power, but I don't know about Hulk. In comics he got more powerful the more angry he got, so let's leave that thought for the future. After knocking Abomination out, I heard sirens coming towards us. Government bodies are always late to these types of incidents. I turned towards Hulk and said, "I think you should leave. They won't be happy to see you there." Hulk looked at me like he understood but was still shocked with what I had did, and with what I think was a nod, he jumped and left. So here I was with the body of Abomination at my feet and law enforcement coming towards me. I wasn't interested in accompanying the law enforcement, so with how much time I had, I helped people and cleared a few areas before flying away. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. I will be increasing the pace of the story. Comment. 34 comments. Vote. Chapter 71, 72 Mexico. Well, I went home after all this and turned on the news the next day to see this being reported. Yesterday we saw two massively powerful beings fighting here in the Harlem, causing a lot of destruction and loss of life until one person came here and single-handedly stopped them. We are still trying to get some identification of the man, but wherever you are and whoever you are, this is from everyone over here. We thank you for help in protecting us all. This is Anna Hall for Channel 11 signing off. Well, best of luck to them in identifying me. I think only Fury will be able to recognize me. The same day, I left for Mexico. I had already felt the Bifrost fluctuations before. I was just waiting for the events of the Incredible Hulk to happen so that people know my strength and don't underestimate me. Mexico is a nice place. Don't know why in all the American movies and shows it is shown in a yellowish tint. It was quite easy to find the place where Engineer landed. Apparently it was the talk of the town, though now S.H.I.E.L.D. had taken over that area. I went forward to see the place. I sneaked into the S.H.I.E.L.D. facility easily. Knowing how to become invisible certainly helps. And now in front me laid Engineer, the weapon of Thor, made out of Iru, almost one of a kind. I was impressed to see the runes on it. Odin really went all out on them. I recognized all of them, and Odin had not only placed the runes of worthiness, no, he had placed others too. A person who is worthy can only lift it is only the first condition that needs to be satisfied. He should also be willing to use it to fight, to protect, and most of all be ready to sacrifice himself. Pretty much sums up why Steve was able to at least shake it in AOU. Should I try to lift it? Well, fuck it, let's try. I went forward to pick it up only to find that I couldn't. I wasn't worthy. Well, it quite figured, cause I ain't dying for anyone else. I got a chance to be in Marvel Universe. Why would I sacrifice myself and let it go? I could probably remove all the runes and take it with me, but that would alert Odin, cause he also placed a tracker spell on it. If anyone lifts it, it would alert Odin immediately. Smart of him to do that, and I could remove it, but it would require me to use a lot of mana, which would probably alert the Ancient One, putting her after me, and considering how strong she is, especially if she decides to use the Time Stone, I wouldn't even stand a chance. So I just left after a while of staring at Engineer. Well, let's just go and take a look at Thor. It would be fun to see how the mighty have fallen. 2 days before in Asgard. Thor Odinson, you have betrayed the express command of your king. Through your arrogance and stupidity, you've opened these peaceful realms and innocent lives to the horror and desolation of war. You are unworthy of these realms, you're unworthy of your title, you're unworthy of the loved ones you have betrayed. I now take from you your power. In the name of my father and his father before, I, Odin All-Father, cast you out. Odin declares and pushes Thor in the Bifrost along with Mjolnir after placing runes on it. Odin went back to his palace thinking, I have done all I could, my son, I hope you don't hate me, but I am just too powerless against them. I hope sending you there would help in you breaking through these chains of fate. And he might just help you in that. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo Captain_Nemo. Timeline I will be using in order. First Incredible Hulk. Second Thor. Third Iron Man 2. Comment. 35 comments. Vote. Chapter 72, 71 Punching Thor. It was easy finding Thor in the town. I was pretty sure I found him before he went at the fighting spree with the S.H.I.E.L.D. agents to get back his hammer, not knowing that he was not worthy. Thor spotted me. I waved at him. Thor shakes his head, maybe shocked to see me and wanted to confirm whether he was hallucinating or not. I wonder why would he think of me as an hallucinating though. After making sure I was there, Thor runs towards me and takes me in a big hug. Valley, it's been so many years since I last saw you. You got to help me, Valley, I am trapped here on this realm as All-Father exiled me here, said Thor in a quick pace, though he was clearly elated to see a familiar face. I saw Jane, Darcy and Selvig coming and approaching us. Who is your handsome friend over there? Asked Darcy. Thanks for the compliment. I said while extending my hand to shake with all of them. My name is Valley Asmund, nice to meet you all and thank you all for taking care of my friend. I told them. So are you crazy like him too, take part in his delusions? Asked Selvig. Oh, let me assure you what all he says is not merely his delusions. I said so with a smile. Thor interjecting said, Valley, you have to help me get back. I have found out that Mjolnir is close by. I am going to get it back and go home. May I ask why were you exiled? I asked of Thor. Of course, I alongside the warriors 3, Sif and Loki went to Jotunheim to destroy the frost giant. They have had our mercy for long. You should have been there with us, it was glorious, said Thor. So All-Father exiled you because you went forward to destroy a whole race? Said to while thinking that Thor is totally a musclehead without any brain, he went on to go to destroy a whole race and doesn't feel any remorse for it. Chris Hemsworth charm saved him in the movie, but in real you will realize that he is a musclehead who doesn't have a brain. Yes, I don't know why he is so mad, he did that too in his youth, but forget all that, let's go and get my Mjolnir back. Saying so, Thor pats my back. No, I said. What? Thor asked, clearly surprised. No, I won't be helping you. You don't see any remorse in actions, do you? You just went forward to destroy an entire race without thinking. Are you mad or what? I barked at Thor. It's jealousy, isn't? You have always been jealous of me, even challenging me back then. Well, guess what? You won't ever able to defeat me, said Thor. Oh, now you have made me angry. Saying so, I punched Thor, sending him flying away. Jane sees that and runs to help him. Darcy and Eric looked completely shocked. While I left, leaving Thor on the ground, cause if I would have stayed then he would have had a few broken bones. Who the hell does he think he is, me being jealous of him? Please, like I don't have anything else to do but waste my time being jealous. Meanwhile with Thor. Thor picks himself up while his body ached. Are you okay? Asked Jean, clearly concerned. I will be once I get my Mjolnir back. Thor picks himself up and starts moving towards the shield encampment while clearly being angry at how weak he was right now. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Oh yeah, we got a cover now. Big thanks to user Vikram_Adithya_C_P for it. Valley looks badass in it to me. What do you all think of the cover? Comment. 31 comments. Vote. Chapter 73, 72 Barging in. I watched as Thor barged into shield encampment, completely not deterred by the number of people in his way and without any plan. I took a deep sigh. He really has only dumbbell for brains. I loved to see the moment when Thor was shocked to realize that he couldn't even lift his hammer. Ha ha ha, how do you feel now, dumbass? Then everything happened like the movie. Thor was taken into the custody and later Loki came to visit him. I stopped his astral form from leaving and went to have a conversation with him. Who is it who dares to stop me? Yelled Loki. Shut your mouth, Loki. I told him. He took a look at me and recognized me. Valley, treat me with respect. I am your king now, said Loki with voice filled of authority. What happened to Allfather to make you king? I asked. Allfather has fallen asleep. Mother fears he won't wake up now, so I have taken over his responsibility. And do you mind telling me which idiot chose you to become king before Balder or Tyr? I can believe Tyr was not interested in becoming the king now, but Balder definitely would have taken the responsibility if needed. I asked, looking straight into his eyes to see any deceit. Loki moved his eyes, not daring to look at mine. Then after a few seconds he said, "This is the second time you have disrespected you king, as such I forbid you from ever setting foot on Asgard. You think you are capable of that? Do you think you are the All-Father? Hell, even he can't stop me from coming to Asgard if I want. Then who are you? Aren't you forgetting that I have your astral form bounded right now? You can't even go back," I yelled at him and then laughed. Loki stared at me for a second, completely dumbfounded at my outburst and the revelation that he can't go back. "Release me, Valley, right now. I am your king." A man who need to say that he is a king is no king at all. "Don't worry, I will let you go, cause I am coming for you and will show you how. Now one can stop me from doing what I want." Saying so, I release Loki, who immediately left without wasting a second left. After this, since I was in a foul mood, I just walked into the shield encampment to pick Thor up. I practically knocked out anyone who came in my way. Well, they all were already half tired after receiving the beating from Thor last night, so it was too easy right now. I walked into a room where Coulson was interrogating Thor. "Valley." Thor looked at me and said my name slowly, dejection and defeat visible in his eyes. "You." Coulson said, clearly surprised on seeing me. "I am taking him with me," I told Coulson, and took Thor out with me. "Wait, stop. You can't do this," yelled Coulson. "Oh yeah, who will stop me?" I asked Coulson cheekily. Coulson looked around to see everyone down, and clearly frustrated to see the same thing happen in such a small time. "And you won't be bothering Thor anymore. If you have any problem, then just tell Fury that Valley said so," saying. So I left with Thor with me. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Well, just wanted to make the MC look badass cause he looks so in the cover. Comment. 45 comments. Vote. Chapter 74, 73 questions. You all must be thinking where I took Thor with me, where except a pub to get some beer. I had to blow off some steam, and Thor, let's just say he needed one. After a dozen of glass, Thor, a bit drunk, said, "This drink is good. One of the few things that people on Midgard made better than any place else. So what you going to do now? I asked. I don't know. Maybe just stay here or roam about, replied Thor. Well, that doctor you met is quite good looking, why don't you stay with her? I said while taking a sip of my own glass. Thor eyed me for a moment and said, maybe you are right, I could certainly travel with her. Come on, let's go then. I stood up and took Thor with me. Where are we going? Asked Thor. To the doctor, I said. I knocked on the door of Jane's house /laboratory. Jane came out clearly a bit sleepy cause it was quite late. She took a look at me and then at Thor and shaked her head to make sure she wasn't sleeping, then she slapped me. Ouch, why? I asked. You punched Thor and just left, and then she slapped Thor too. And you too, I was so worried about you. Sorry, said Thor. Well, he deserved that punch, I said while Jane stared at me. Well, still come on in, said Jane. Thor walked in straight while I said thank you, cause unlike Thor I have manners. I walked in then and said, you must have a lot of questions, Dr. Foster, why don't you ask? The next half an hour Jane keep asking Thor and me different questions, clearly fascinated with all of it, and while Thor's answer were vague and crude in language, mine made science as I talked to them in scientific terms. After a while even Selvig has joined us while Darcy was woken up by the commotion Jane caused whenever we told something to her that she couldn't believe. So let me get this straight, you guys are from a place that has handsome and charming men like you? Darcy asked, while Jane elbows her and stares at her. Well, you could say that. Almost all people born on Asgard are beautiful if compared to Earth's standard, and thanks for the indirect compliment, I told Darcy, winking at her, which got a blush on her face. Well, I think I have answered a lot of questions and need a bit of shut-eye, so excuse me, I said. Oh please wait, I have a lot of questions still left, said Jane. Ask Thor, he is free, saying. So I winked at Thor hoping he would understand my gesture and is not a complete Dumbo. I found a couch to crash in and sleep even though I didn't need it, but just to get a break from the barrage of questions from Selvig and Jane. Don't get me wrong, I was happy to explain to them all the concepts behind the Bifrost and how it worked in simple sense, but they can't just understand it, at least not right now. It's like teaching a 5th grade average-minded kid integration even though he only has the basic knowledge of maths. You can teach him with time, but if he keeps asking questions again and again you will get irritated. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. People were asking for more, so one more chapter, don't ask for more now. Comment. 33 comments. Vote. Chapter 75, 74 Destroying Destroyer. I was still sleeping when there was a big knock on the door and I was woken up by it. Imagine my not so surprise when I saw the Warrior 3 and Sif there. Having seen the movie literally spoils all the fun. What are you all doing here? Thor asked, clearly surprised but happy to see them here. We are here to take you back, said Volstagg. Loki has taken over the throne, we need you to come back with us, said Sif. Thor looked confused but then said, I can't, I am not the same person that I used to be. Hey, can't you just keep your voice down, I am sleeping here, I yelled at them. Clearly Sif and the Warrior 3 were surprised to see me there. Why are you even trying to sleep? We don't need to sleep, said Thor. Well, let's just think of it as a bad habit I picked up on Midgard. Whatever you all continue, I am leaving to go somewhere I can sleep. Saying so I teleported out before they could say anything. Was that Valley? Sif asked. Yeah, he came here and found me after I was exiled here, said Thor. Well, I left that place not because I need sleep but can't stop Thor from becoming worthy. If I am there then everyone would expect me to fight the destroyer and I can pretty much destroy it. Do you see the irony over there? Things progressed the same way as in the movie then. Destroyer came pretty much wrecked the Warrior 3 and Sif. Jane was smart as she at least asked where was at that moment. Thor prepared himself for the sacrifice. He went towards the destroyer asking Loki to kill him but spare his friends, and like any Marvel fan at this moment I was watching them eating popcorn. And then it happened, the destroyer smacked Thor in the air. I recorded this for viewing later and having fun. Well, I think it's time for my superhero entrance. When all hope was lost, Warrior 3 and Sif were beaten and battered, and when Thor was lying on the ground broken, I rushed in. I went to sleep for a while and this is what happens, you all almost dying. Jane, take Thor with you. I will take care of this, I said while walking towards Destroyer while wearing my costume. The Destroyer looked at me and then started pouring those fire /I laser I don't know what from the holes it had on its head, and while it was happening I felt the vibration of Mjolnir coming toward this place. Well, so it's back for its owner. I need to hurry, can't let Thor have the fame for killing Destroyer. So that's what I did. I rushed it and punched Destroyer while increasing my strength with magic and energy from the Tesseract clone, and it was almost blown to smithereens by my second punch. I transported all those pieces to my pocket dimension cause I was sure S.H.I.E.L.D. would have taken them for study. This all happened just in the while that Thor regained his power. After a heart-to-heart with Jane, Thor said to me, "Thank you, Valley, for helping everyone, but I think it's time to go to Asgard and deal with Loki." Warrior 3 and Sif, though a bit battered. Darcy looked at me and said, "Damn, you look ever more handsome now." Well, I was happy with that compliment. Coulson arrived just like in the movies and said, "I need to talk to the both of you," pointing towards Thor and me. "Don't worry, son of Ko, we have no ill will towards you or this planet," said Thor. "Didn't you talk to Fury about me?" I asked. "I did, and he wanted me to keep you and take you to meet him," replied Coulson. "Well, do you think that you can keep me? But don't worry, I will come to meet Fury later. It's been years since I last saw him." Chapter 76, 75 Thor ends. Well then, after the banter, Thor alongside the Warrior 3, Sif and I left move towards the outside of the city, and Thor shouted for Heimdall to somehow open the Bifrost. The Bifrost opened and we all were teleported to Asgard. Only after Thor bid Jane goodbye. The Warrior 3 and Sif were sent to the infirmary while I and Thor left to fight Loki. Things that happened in the movie had happened, Loki killing Laufey in the throne room while Odin was asleep, and now he had opened Bifrost on Jotunheim. "Loki, stop, this is madness," said Thor. "You think this is madness? This is what we should have done years ago. You even went to destroy then earlier," said Loki. "I know, brother, but I now realize that I was wrong." "Stop it, brother. I don't care about anything that happened, just come back," said Thor, pleading. Loki looked for a minute like he was thinking. And then he said, "No, you don't understand, my foolish brother, it's already too late, you can't stop the Bifrost now." And he became ready to fight us. I yelled, "Thor, you fight Loki while I will break the Bifrost." Thor followed my words and started fighting Loki while I tried to break the Bifrost, and I am not kidding, it is difficult to break it. And even with all my intelligence, it's literally the only method to stop it right now. While I was busy breaking the Bifrost, I kept taking a look at Loki and Thor's fight. This version of Loki was clearly more adept and fighting and knew his skills cause he wasn't relying on his hand-to-hand combat skills but on the use of his magic. Tricking Thor by making clones and throwing fireballs. Loki suddenly yelled, "Stop him or you be ever able to see her again." This caused Thor to flinch for a second and stop. He looked at me to see whether Loki was telling the truth. I shrugged my shoulder in response cause I can go back to Earth even without Bifrost, don't know about him though. Taking my shrug as what Loki said what true, he closed his eyes for a second but then once again started fighting Loki. And then it happened, Bifrost cracked and broke. Thor and Loki began to fall while I flew and caught Thor's hand and Loki grabbed hold of Thor's Mjolnir. And when I was just flying back taking them to the surface of Asgard, guess who finally decides to show up? Well, it's not a surprising cause it was Odin, literally coming at the end. Loki looked at Odin and said, "I could have done it father for you, I could have done it father for all of us." Odin replied, "No, Loki." I could see the heartbreak in Loki's eye who just let go. Thor shouted "No," clearly in grief while Odin once again said no. Not affected much. Seeing this I threw Thor towards Odin while I dived to catch Loki. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. The scene where Loki says "I could have done it father" always breaks my heart cause you see Loki looking for acceptance from Odin who didn't even care. Maybe it's the acting of Tom who brings the character of Loki out so well and make him a delight to watch. Comment. 54 comments. Vote. Chapter 77, 76 King Maybe. Well, I finally caught Loki and held him long enough to land on an asteroid while he kept rambling on and on about me letting go. When we landed and Loki immediately started fighting me. "Why did you save me, Valley? I was fine on my own," he said. I didn't care and just slapped him, sending him flying. "Stop whining like a kid," I told him, and then I took out a can of beer and started drinking while sitting on a rock nearby. Man, it was an impulsive decision of mine to jump to catch Loki. I think I have already destroyed some plot of Avengers due to butterfly effect. While I was sitting contemplating, Loki came back. He eyed me for a moment then asked, "What is that you are drinking?" "Beer," here I said while tossing him a can. He caught the can, opened it and smelled a whiff of it before finally deciding to drink it. Satisfaction was evident on his face. "Where did you get this?" he asked, clearly impressed with it. "My God. What? Those ants made this?" he screamed. "Mind your tongue, Loki, they aren't ants. If I have to say, they are much better than us," I told him. He looked at me, clearly not agreeing with my statement but still asked for one more and I obliged. "Those people who you call ants actually enjoy life more than us. They may not be as powerful as us but they use their minds more than us and haven't stagnated yet. Unlike us, they made things, great things, and bring changes every day, though not for the best every time. They have made mistakes and will keep making them, but they learn, and that's something we all need to learn too. Plus, just look at this beer. Don't try to lie to me by saying it's not nice. It's good to watch them and see how far they will go." He started to think about it. "Well, I think it's time now. See you later then, Loki," I said. And I started to teleport myself. "Wait!" yelled Loki. "What?" I asked. "You thinking of leaving me here?" "I am going with you," Loki demanded. "Oh, you throwing your tantrums and demanding something from me? I smacked you recently, didn't I, or did you forget?" I told him while amused to see him demanding something of me. Loki flinched for a moment. And then sighed and said, "I don't have any place to go, take me with you." Well, you can go back to Asgard, I told him. No, they would throw me in the cells. Well, no problem of lodging and food then, I joked. He didn't look amused at that. Well, you can go back to Jotunheim, I suggested. What do you mean? Asked Loki. Well, since you killing Laufey, who was the king of Jotunheim, means they no longer have a king, and you being his son can easily go and take control over there. Loki didn't even think for a moment and took up my advice. And I teleported him to Jotunheim, and without even waiting for a second left him amongst hordes of frost giants, and I swear I heard him shouting my name. Well, it's his problem to solve. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo, Captain_Nemo. Expect one chapter a week from now on, busy with life. Comment. 54 comments. Vote. Chapter 78, not dropped. Don't worry guys, the novel isn't dropped, it's just that I have been busy with life and thus am not able to keep my promise of one chapter a week too. Just bear with it for now. I will give updates surely when I get time. When and if I ever drop this novel, I will inform you all. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo, Captain_Nemo. Okay. Comment. 29 comments. Vote. Chapter 79, 77 Avengers begins. So after dropping Loki, I made my way back to Earth. I had nothing much to do in this time but to wait for the events of Avengers to start. Though I may have altered them somehow with my changes made to Loki's fate. So I was free, so I decided to check up on Steve. I was sure that he was awake by now and was pretty much drilling himself to get used to this new era. For those who are wondering, I last met Peggy in the 90s, and since then I have had no contact with her. Though I know about which hospital she is in. I saw Steve, and after observing him for few hours I could see that he was trying to drown himself in different activities, either boxing, running or exercising, just to avoid the fact of the year it is and how many years he has lost. I thought of going and meeting him, but let's just leave it for now. I will see him later during Invasion event. I left him and went on to just roam. Time skip of few months. In a SHIELD facility, Nick Fury arrives in a car and begins talking with Eric Selvig. So tell me when this started giving off these readings? Asked Fury. Since last night things really escalated. It started giving more readings since last week, but this from last night readings really spiked, said Eric. Fury turned towards Maria Hill, his trusted confidant, and said, "Get everyone to evacuate the area ASAP." Maria Hill nodded and left the site. So what do we know about this? Asked Fury to Selvig. I don't know, we can't do anything about it. We don't have anything like a switch-off button, said Selvig. Suddenly the Tesseract started giving out more readings than before and sparks started coming out of it. What is happening? Doctor, do something, said Fury. I can't do anything, replied Selvig, looking shocked. Suddenly flashes of light occurred and a figure landed outside. Fury looked at the figure, who was clearing observing the surrounding, and said, "Put the spear down." The figure looked directly towards Fury and with a playful mirth in her eyes said, "It's funny that you think that you can command me to do anything." And with a laughter raises the scepter and shot a blast towards Fury, who flew in the air, landed in the ground and was knocked out due to the impact. Hawkeye, seeing that the being turned hostile, fired arrow at it, but before it could reach he was already knocked out by the figure. Finally she turned over and looked at a scared-looking Selvig and said, "Come on, there are a lot of things I need to know from you." The figure levitates and leaves, taking Selvig and Hawkeye with it, leaving behind a knocked-out Fury along with lots of SHIELD personnels. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Got free time today, so wrote this. Guess who the figure is? Whoever guess right will get a shout out in next chapter. Comment. 50 comments. Vote. Chapter 80, 78 filler. I will give shout out to the person who guessed the figure right at the start of the chapter in which I reveal her, so don't worry. And I am thinking of taking part in the Naruto fanfic contest. What do you all think? Underscore 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 underscore. I was just sitting in my Himalayan cave just when I felt a big magical disturbance, and so I teleported to look at it. I reached a place which I can only say was a shield facility, and saw a lot of people knocked out and even Fury lying on his back. I am not proud of what I did next. I took photos of knocked of Fury and some photos in such poses that will make people laugh. At least I have some material to blackmail Fury now, and I did my evil laughter there. Though enough with that, I started looking around the area to find out more about it. I was sure that Tesseract had become active and had teleported some person here. That means that the events of Avengers have started, but the main question is, who is this person? Well, I am sure it isn't Loki. I already stopped him from coming here, so it could be either any of Thanos' henchmen or some power-hungry fool willing to follow his bidding, the types of people in which the universe doesn't lack. I went out to find the Ancient One in her astral form looking around. So you know who did this? I asked. She looked at me and said in her zen-filled voice, whether I know or don't know doesn't matter, lots of things have changed. Okay, would you be doing something about it? I inquired of her. There are events that don't require my intervention, so, no, I won't be doing anything about it for now. Good luck to you, Valley, you will need it for what's to come. Saying so, she left. Talk about being vague. She could probably stop everything that is to happen with the time stone, but doesn't. Total coward to not use such a powerful mean to win all fights. Well, I left the area too then. Don't want to be there when all the people wake up. I thought of going to find the person that is responsible for this, but I am just too lazy to do it right now, so I went back to my cave. The person will reveal itself eventually, so why should I work hard? A few hours later, Fury was woken up and taken by paramedics. He arrived at the scene later. Sir, are you okay now? Asked Maria Hill with concern about Fury. I am fine, Agent Hill. What the count of casualties? Fury asked. No one dead, sir, some with injuries, but Agent Barton and Dr. Selvig are missing, replied Hill. So she took my best agent and the most knowledgeable person we have regarding the Tesseract. Do we have any trace on her? Asked Fury. No, sir, replied Hill. Send Coulson to go and talk to Stark. It's time to start the Avenger Initiative, replied Fury. Comment. 38 comments. Vote. Chapter 81, 79 Joining Avengers. I was sitting in my cave when I heard the sound of a Quinjet, which landed near the entrance, and I opened the gate with open arms and expected Fury to be there, but it turned out to be Black Widow. Hello, Mr. Valley, Director Fury will like to meet with you, she said. So Fury sent her, maybe thought that she could be seductive enough to make me come. And why should I? Why should I listen to anything he says? I jumped on my bed and laid down in a comfortable position while saying so. Maybe this will draw your attention and make you more serious. Saying so, she placed a hologram showing all that had happened with the Tesseract in the shield facility and how it was stolen. I don't care about all this. If Fury wants to talk to me, he can come here. Director Fury is busy with other matters right now, but I will see what I can do. Saying so, she left. I was not amazed of the fact that S.H.I.E.L.D. knew my hideout, cause I had really taken no measures to hide it, and only because there is no reason to hide it. Anyone who wants to attack me is welcome to try. Well, Fury was quick to respond. He was with me in my cave within 2 hours, staring at me. Here, have a drink, don't need to look so brooding. I threw a can at him, saying so. He caught the can but didn't drink it. Instead he said, "Remind me, Valley, isn't Earth under your protection? Shouldn't you have come with Agent Romanov instead of throwing a tantrum and washing time by calling me here?" "Oh no, you got it wrong. Earth is under the protection of Asgard, not me, so you could try calling them up and ask for help. Thor was in town a few months ago, why not try reaching him for help?" I said cheekily. "Considering the fact that they are unreachable, shouldn't you be the one responding?" said Fury, still keeping up his poker face. "I should, and I am. Don't worry, if there is a problem I will intervene surely, but you should realize your stupidity, experimenting on things you don't understand. Carol would be so proud," I said. This got some reaction from him. "And remind me, Valley, how she got her powers." "From an explosion of an experimental engine. We need to improve our capability when people like you are roaming about. We got lucky with you and Carol, but what happens on a bad day when either of you are not there and someone with the plan of world domination comes? How will we handle that? We need to be prepared," said Fury. "You have this." Saying so, I showed him the Avengers Initiative file. "How did you get this?" Fury asked while snatching the files from me. "Remember this, Fury, I am always 2 steps ahead of you, cause I have knowledge of the future, but you don't need to know about it, ha ha ha. I am pretty sad that you didn't consider me, though you still took the suggestion I gave for the name I said. You said that you wouldn't join," said Fury, finally opening the can and drinking the contents. "It wouldn't have hurt you to ask. Would you join the Avengers?" asked Fury, finally defeated. "Hell yeah, come on, let's go, we have a lot to talk about. By the way, how did you lose your eye?" I asked him. "I trusted someone I shouldn't have," he said, clearly pissed off with the moment that it happened. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo wrote this while in class. Comment. 54 comments. Vote. Chapter 82, 80 Meeting Steve again. Fury told me that we were going to meet Steve and Bruce Banner on the S.H.I.E.L.D. helicarrier. We got on a Quinjet and left. Some time later. So Fury and I arrived on the helicarrier to meet with everyone. I had let Fury go a bit ahead of me while I kept looking at the helicarrier. It was a thing of beauty, if I had to say. I had only seen it in the movies, so I didn't think that it had such a scale, but on seeing it in person you can tell that it's huge. I came across Fury while seeing Steve handing him few dollars. And then it happened. Steve saw me and his eyebrows shot up, and he kept staring at me completely shocked, but then recovered his bearing and then came towards and held his hand. "Steve Rogers, I might have been in the army with your grandfather," he said. Now I was shocked. Steve thought that I was a descendant of myself who fought with him in the war. And then with an embarrassed face, I said, Steve, it's me. I am the Valley you fought with." And there it was, a totally shocker for everyone around there, though Fury still didn't let an emotion come on his face, but he was shocked too. He knew I was powerful, but he didn't know that I had been on Earth back then too. In these years I had always thought, what would Steve do when he will see me? Will he be angry with me for not saving him, or will he starting fighting with me, or will we have an heated exchange of words? But what happened I didn't even expect. Steve just took me in his embrace and hugged me. I never expected this. I always thought that he would get angry, and why wouldn't someone be when they lose all their friends and spent years on ice, even thought they can be saved? I could see that Steve was overwhelmed, happy to see at least one familiar face. Wait a moment, hadn't he met Peggy yet? And it hit me, Fury hadn't yet taken Steve to Peggy yet. Steve, you okay? I asked. Y.S. But who? He asked. I will tell you all that later, but first, have you met Peggy yet? I asked. What? She is alive? Asked Steve. Yes, I told him while staring at Fury for not telling Steve about it. Come on, let's go. I told him. We don't have time for it now, yelled Fury. We are going to have a talk later, Fury, I said. I teleported with Steve to meet Peggy. I took Steve directly to Peggy's room. Steve's reaction on seeing Peggy was moving. He cried while talking to her. In all my time with him during the war, I had never seen him cry, but now he was sitting there shedding tears. So to give them privacy, I went out of the room. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Expect 5 chapters this month at least. I may be the only author to say this, but give me comments, not power stones. I am hungry for comments. Comment. 55 comments. Vote. Chapter 83, 81 Attack on Helicarrier. I left Steve behind with Peggy in the hospital. No need to bring him back right now. I teleported back to Helicarrier. I found Banner doing his best to find the Tesseract, but what I found strange was that Tony wasn't there. As far as I can remember, Tony was there. Hello, Dr. Banner, I am Valley Asmund. I introduced myself to him. Nice to meet you, said Banner while clearly focused on his work. You are eager to get out of here, aren't you? I asked him. Oh, yes, I don't do well in enclosed spaces, said Banner, fidgeting. Well, don't worry, Doctor, if something happens, I will handle it. Patting him on the shoulder, I left behind a very confused Banner. I then went to find Fury. Apparently he was in a meeting with the chairman. I found it strange that Fury can take orders. I thought he enjoyed giving them and being in charge than to take orders. I waited for him to finish his meeting, and when he came out and saw me, he released a sign. I already told you that we were going to have a talk, I said. Now is not the time, we will talk later, said Fury. No, Fury, now is the time, I replied. Valley, there is a woman out there with a thing that can destroy half the planet, so when I say it's not the time, it means it's not the time. Saying so, he left. I just followed Fury after that, and honestly I didn't have anything else to do. I went to the deck from where he usually gives orders. I met Marie Hill. She really looked like Kobsh Smulder. I loved her back in IMIM. She took a glance at me and then proceeded to say that Agent Coulson is coming back after meeting with Stark. He has just asked for land. Boom! Missiles started hitting the helicarrier. I covered Fury and jumped to a corner. Fury looked at me and without losing his calm said Banner. Understanding what he meant, I immediately ran to control Hulk. I am sure that S.H.I.E.L.D. could deal with the guys attacking, but dealing with Hulk would be difficult. It was easy to find the Hulk, just look for the place from where people were running from and listen to shouts. And so I found him very easily. He was wreaking havoc. What else could he be doing? He was angry. Should be cause I am pretty sure that Banner getting hurt must have made him angry. I ran towards him. Seeing me running towards him, Hulk charged at me with equal fury. He threw his punch at me but I ducked and smacked his chest. You will think what can smacking his chest achieve, and you are right, it wouldn't achieve much normally, but what I did was that I pushed him to his astral form. I was shocked to see the astral form cause there was two of them. One of an unconscious Banner and one of an angry Hulk. I pushed Banner form first into the body which turned back to Banner's and then I pushed Hulk's form back in. I quickly picked Banner's unconscious body and placed him in a room. Pretty boring battle, but a quick and swift end to a battle is better than a fight which could possibly kill people. I went out to see 2 to 3 jets still firing missiles at helicarrier. I was sure that those who had managed to land and enter the helicarrier would be dealt with by the shield agents, so I jumped just like Hulk does onto these jets and broke them, causing them to crash. It was fun to see their reaction when none of their bullet did anything to me. It was good that helicarrier was actually over a water body right now, probably saving a lot of people. But there was still a problem. Helicarrier was crashing. They had done what damage they had come to do. I remember Stark had somehow repaired one of the turbines in the movie, but I can't do that. I had no idea of how this thing was even working. I may not be as smart at technology as Stark is, but I excel at magic and I used just that. I used my powers to hold and glide helicarrier slowly towards the ground. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo, Captain_Nemo. Give me comments, not power stones. Comment. 47 comments. Vote. Chapter 84, ch 82 Introspect. I placed the helicarrier on the ground easily. Whosoever planned this attack, they did well. Instead of it being like in the movie where their main objective was rescue, this time it was an assault, complete assault just to destroy the opponent. People were dead, a lot more than I think that were in the movie. It was a slaughter which they did indiscriminately. The lack of Steve, Thor and Tony did play an important part too. All three of them were responsible for containing the damage that was done. 2 of the big 3 of the Avengers weren't there when they were needed. The thing I don't understand is why Thor still has not come to Earth. Maybe since it isn't Loki causing havoc, so Odin isn't paying attention on Earth. Tony is also an uncertain factor. Maybe Fury didn't recruit him this time. Butterfly effect maybe. I helped as many as I could in the meantime, cleared the rubble, helped people to medcare. Bruce was also awake by now. He was helping wherever he could, not as the big guy but as a doctor, treating the injured. Though he was trying to put a strong front, I was able to notice the uncontrollable shaking of his hand every once in a while and how he would control it every time and will go on to help someone else. Barton was caught pretty much like the movies. Natasha had taken him with her. I honestly don't care what happens with him right now. I needed to get out of here. I couldn't stay here, at least not right now. I am responsible for these deaths. I could have done lots of things in all this time I had. For fuck's sake, I could have just kept the Tesseract with me and all of this wouldn't have happened. These people would still have been alive, living their life. I always knew that there were going to be deaths. MCU was shy about showing it, but they did happen. I just didn't think that it will affect me like it did. I usually just thought of these people like NPCs in a game. You don't care whether they live or not, just busy with your quest. But to see people die in front of you, when you know you could have done a lot to change it, you could have saved a lot of lives but you didn't, it hurts. I can't mope now. I did make my choice and I will have to follow with what happens. No, I can change things. The time stone, I only need that. I just need to go and get it, and I then can fix it, bring back all those death with no harm done. It's after all a comic universe, people come back from death every time in the end, don't they? I teleported to Kamatage, but I felt something off. The place I teleported wasn't Kamatage, it was a barren field. I hoped this wouldn't come to pass, Mr. Valley, said a voice who turned out to be the Ancient One. If you knew I was coming, then you know what I am here for. I spoke. Yes, and in my duty as the Sorcerer Supreme, I can't let you. She replied with an emotionless face. Why? Why not bring back all of them? You have the power, you could have stopped all of this, couldn't you? Then why didn't you? You are the Sorcerer Supreme, it's your job to keep people safe. I spoke, but it was getting difficult to speak with every syllable. Mr. Valley, when you live as long as some of us do, you realize that you can't stop everything. There are certain events that come to pass no matter how much you try to stop them. You can delay them, but preventing these pivot points cause more harm than good. She replied, still keeping her facade of calmness. So all those who died, they didn't have a choice. To be raised, spend their time, their life for one moment, one freaking moment, that is to die. That is what the universe had in plan for them, that fate is what you are condemning them for. To die for what? The greater good. It's easier said than done when the one being affected is not you, isn't it? And with that I flew in rage to attack her. She sidestepped easily. But she can't stop me so easily. I kicked at her while throwing some fireballs at her. She dodged the kick with her hand while one of the fireball hit her. We kept going back and forth for a while, knowing that I couldn't get the stone if things kept going on like this. I closed my eyes. She stopped for a second, surprised by my tactic. Then I yelled Lumos, a copy of a spell I saw in the Harry Potter. Instead of it being just a small light, mine was a flashbang sort with enough light to blind a person for a while. Nothing permanent, but good enough to disorient. It affected her just like I hoped it would. Clearly no one in all these years had used such an easy tactic on her. I immediately plunged my hand forward so as to grab the eye, but I failed. The Ancient One used the time stone to hold me, then even with her closed eyes looked at me and said, I am sorry that you don't understand this yet, but with time you will, Mr. Valley, that certain events are necessary for the grand scale of things. Those lives that you see lost today, played a bigger part, on a scheme larger than you can imagine right now. The moment you came on Earth, I knew the possibility of us being at this impasse was high. I hoped we could avoid it, unfortunately we couldn't. I hope that the next we meet you will have come to some understanding of what I meant. And with her words finished, she teleported me. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. Captain_Nemo. Check out, The Goddess of Death by Commander_Gray. It's good. And I am pretty sure now that I can't write fight scenes. Sad smiley. Story ain't dropped. I have exams. Got free time so wrote this. Have exams till the 16th of December. Wish me luck, guys. And I was thinking of creating a Telegram channel for the novel. Do let me know what you all think. Comment. 27 comments. Vote. Chapter 85, Dropping. This project has helped me in understanding that writing is not my cup of tea. Thanks to all you guys for the support in making of this novel, or as far as it has gone. Recent reviews also make me feel like I am not able to justice to this novel. Shout out to Taoist_Sky, who had figured out that the figure was Amora the Enchantress. Comment. 43 comments. Vote. Chapter 86, Started new fanfic. So I have started a new Harry Potter fanfic. I hope you all can give it the same love you gave this one. Novel name, Mudblood Prince, HP fanfiction. Link. https://www.webnovel.com/book/15421040206434205/mudblood-prince%sign 5bhp-fanfiction%sign 5d. Comment. 18 comments. Vote. Chapter 87, ch 83, Avengers End. Do you think it was wise to just send him away like that? Asked Mordo. For the first time in centuries the Ancient One was confused. I am not sure, was all that she said. Scene changed. I was teleported back to New York. A massive blue hole adorned the New York skyline with Shitori flowing through them. New York was destroyed. I tried looking for the Avengers but I couldn't find any one of them fighting, just saw people running away. Instead of helping the people on the ground, I raced towards the Stark Tower. The movies had Loki open the portal from the tower, and with me having a copy of Space Stone I was pretty sure that I can close the portal without requiring the scepter. No one being there to help the civilians meant that either the Avengers had fallen or been pulled back. I landed on top of the tower and made my way in. Suddenly I was hit by a beam throwing me out of the tower. Comic-Con is that way. I heard and looked up to see Tony in his Iron Man suit standing before me. I am not the enemy, Stark. I am here to help. I told him, flying back up to go back in the tower. No can do, I have to protect my mistress, said Stark with glazed eyes. Look Stark, I don't have time for you. Get out of my way or I will take you out, I told him. I had no time to deal with a mindless drone when people were dying every second. Instead of replying, Tony flew directly towards me. Not wanting to waste my time on Tony, I just sidestepped and grabbed the arc reactor of Tony's chest and yanked it out, causing Tony to fall down gasping for air. I pulled out his visor so that he can breathe. In spite of all your intelligence, you are nothing but a man in an iron suit, Stark, I said, and teleported him to the helicarrier near Nick. They would probably know how to handle his cardiac arrest, and moved towards my goal. I entered the tower and heard, "Sir, I would advise you to cover your ears being going above. The lady up there has been controlling everybody using her voice." In a British voice. "Jarvis?" I inquired. "Yes, sir." "Stark didn't lock you out?" Mr. Stark did so, but he laid down contingency to deal with scenarios in which he does not have access to his full mental capabilities. I see. So he thought of scenario where someone else is controlling him. Pretty paranoid of him. I think you misunderstood, sir. He laid down those scenarios in the case he was drunk and thought of hacking all the nuclear missile for fun. Jarvis replied. I think I gave him more credit than he was worthy of. He isn't Batman. Batman? Sir. Ignore that, you won't get it. How many people are up there with her, Jarvis? None, sir. She had Mr. Stark to guard her only. It should be pretty easy then. See you later, Jarvis. It may be easy, sir, but I still advise you to be cautious of her. Mr. Stark didn't pay much attention to my advice, and look what happened. Ignoring Jarvis, I went up. Look who we have here, Annie, sir. I heard in a seductive voice behind me. Stop this charade, I know you are not behind me. I replied. You are no fun. Thor was more fun than you. She replied. So who are you? I asked. If I tell it to you directly, then where's the fun? Saying so, she turned up before me. You should be more worried about how to please your mistress, sir, she said while caressing my cheek with her nail. I felt something enter my head and trying to force me to obey her command. I smacked her hand away and punched her in the gut. Weak. I spoke without any emotion. Your mind magic may work on mortals but not on a god. I yelled and flew towards her. Oh darling, I have even bent gods to my will. You will require some more time but bend you will. She said merrily and flew towards me preparing to fight. Fight between magicians is different than that between brutes. She was maintaining her distance firing spells after spells at me hoping to catch me. She doesn't even know that the spells she is using are child play for me. So little manner. Unlike me, she doesn't have an unlimited supply, so she is being conservative in her use. What can I say? It's good to be broken. I can see why Canilla was so disappointed by you. If my disciple after years of training is so weak, then even I would be. So Amora the enchantress, what will it be? Surrender or humiliating loss? I said mid-fight. Angered at that, she said with a smirk, you must think you are so powerful, but look around you, your city is in ruins. More and more of my army is coming. How will you alone handle them all? Just like I am handling you, with absolute power. Well, I am tired of our play. Saying so, I knocked her out. Amora was pretty much a one-trick pony. Take her power to control men away and she was just a pretty above-average magician. She wasn't trained in brute force fighting, whereas I was a magic user as well as a fighter. Throwing her aside, I went forward and to close the portal. I was right, I didn't require the use of scepter. As soon as I closed the portal, the Shitori dropped. It looks like Shitori aren't made for long-range communication. Creator's thoughts. Captain_Nemo. I was extremely bored, so wrote a chapter. I don't know whether I will continue or not. Enjoy. Comments not power stones. Comment. 11 comments. Vote. Chapter 88, ch 84 Aftermath. /n, comments not power stones. After I dealt with the portal, I saw several shield jets coming to the Stark Tower. One of them landed on the helipad, while the others went for rescue work. Fury, Natasha, Banner and Steve, who was missing an arm, came out of the jet. Steve came forward and hugged me. Thank you for saving us all. The council was going to launch a nuke here. That's okay, but what happened to your arm? I asked. I didn't remember Steve having lost an arm in the MCU. Barton somewhat did in Age of Ultron, but that too was fixed later. Tony did. He was not in control of himself. Steve said with a sigh. He was one of the first to run towards Stark Tower when the portal opened, and without a proper plan was enthralled by her. I didn't even notice that he was acting weird until he tried to cut me. It's only because of my reflexes that I was able to avoid the blow. Steve explained to me. Well, Stark is weird and you can't die yet, you still owe Peggy a dance. And I am pretty sure if you died again without having had the dance, then Peggy will kill me. God or not, I am still afraid of that woman, I said, and Steve laughed at it. /n, it's a joke, he doesn't mean that literally. As touching as this reunion is, I need to ask the question, where is the woman? Nick said, breaking the light mood I was trying to create. She's none of your concern, Nick. I said. He probably won't even be able to keep her imprisoned. I will just take her with me and gift her to Canilla. She is my concern when she just comes to my planet and declares a war, using my own people as her pet monkeys. Nick yelled. So Bruce, I understand why Natasha wasn't helping here, but what about the big guy? Why didn't I see him ripping out Shitori? I asked, ignoring Nick. and let the big guy be under her control. I couldn't take that chance. Bruce replied, while Natasha looked pissed. You didn't know that. I bet the Hulk would have just smashed her in order to please her. Wanna give it a try? I asked. No thanks, said Banner. Where is Barton? I asked. We don't know, he escaped somehow. Looks like he is still not out of the mental conditioning she did. Natasha answered. Well, with the resources of S.H.I.E.L.D. I think you all will probably find him sooner or later. At most he will try to attack us to get her out. Just hit him in the head hard when you catch him. He will probably be fine after that. Valley, where is that woman? Nick said, and I could notice a vein on his head. Would you calm down, Nick? She is under control, and by the way, her name is Amora. She's a magician who can control men through her words, and I am pretty much immune to her, so I think it would be better if I take care of her. Tell me the name of those who thought it was a good idea to launch a nuke here. I'll pay them a visit later, and it won't be a nice one. So many people dead, we could have saved them had we known about her earlier. We could have stopped Stark from going without a plan. He would have been a help. Steve sighed. How is Stark, by the way? I didn't kill him, did I? I asked. He is fine, a little blue, but Banner took care of him, said Natasha. He was having a cardiac arrest. You shouldn't have had ripped the arc reactor out, Bruce said. Well, it was the easiest way to knock him out of the fight. And I was pretty sure he would be fine. As for the dead, I think I can do something. I tried to pull my power from my core. I needed confirm whether my title of God of Samsara was just a title or held some power behind it. Pulling each and every ounce that I could, I tried to bring back the people that died. I clenched my fist, closed my eyes, and yelled just to pull off this miracle. Death is my domain, mortal, I heard in a bleak tone. I opened my eyes to see that time had stopped. Everything was black and white. Stood before me was a bony figure. It didn't take a genius to know who she was. Lady Death. I greeted her. So weak, so pathetic, and yet you think you can get souls from me? She replied. I will get them. Sound of laughter echoed. I'll like to see you try, Death said and vanished. Comment. 16 comments. Vote. Chapter 89, ch 85. Let there be life. /n, comments not Power Stone. Comments stay forever, whereas Power Stones are gone by next week. I needed more power, plain and simple. I was powerful but not on the level of the cosmic entities yet. But I knew someone who was. Can you tell me what that was, Valley? Suddenly I don't feel so good, asked Steve. It was Death. She came here to brag that I wasn't powerful enough. Wait, you mean Death? Bruce asked, shocked. Yes, I mean Death. So are you Jesus now? Asked Natasha playfully. I failed. Steve placed his hand on my shoulder and said, at least you tried. It gave us hope for a few moments. Let's go, we need to help people that are stuck. That's your work, Steve, just send anyone injured, I'll treat them, Bruce said. Ignoring them, I was busy in my own thoughts. I can ask Beyonder for help. I don't believe Death could be more powerful than him. Keep a watch around me, Steve. Saying so, I sat down to meditate and closed my eyes. I opened my eyes expecting to see the familiar whiteness of the Beyonders universe, but I was wrong. The universe now looked like the Hidden Leaf Village. The Hawkage Mountain looked impressive. Yo! Beyonder said, popping next to me. Beyonder stood in front of me wearing Naruto-like orange jacket and with blonde hair. I take it that you like Naruto? I asked, amused at his transformation. Yes, it's awesome. Especially to never give up. And wait, see this, said Beyonder. Oiroke no jutsu, he shouted, and out of smoke came out a female Beyonder barely covered by smoke. Beyonder looked at me expecting to see me nose bleeding and falling, instead a vein popped in my head. I should have had removed some of the episodes. These type of episodes are bad influence on kids. You won't use this again, Beyonder? I chided him. But I like it and Naruto can use it, then why can't I? He asked, transforming back to normal. Sakura beat him to a pulp for using that jutsu. Should I hit you too now? I asked. Okay, Beyonder said, but looking at him anyone would know that he was lying. Okay, just promise me that you won't use it in front of girls. He immediately nodded at that. Come here, I need to show you something. After that I let him look at my memories and especially showed him my encounter with Lady Death. Look at her, she is a bad lady, I told him. Yes, she's saying that my friend is weak. Yes, she called me weak, that's why I came to my friend to ask for help. You will help me, right? Yes, of course, I will show her that my friend is not weak. I'll give you more power, in exchange bring me ramen. Wait, what? When did you learn to negotiate? I asked, shocked at him for asking for something. A shinobi needs to have all skills. Fine, I will bring ramen next, but why don't you just conjure it yourself? You made the whole village. Beyonder looked down and said in slow voice, I don't know how it tastes. I started laughing. I forgot that you haven't ever had the need to eat. I promise I will bring ramen for you next time. Till then have some beer. You, beer. Beyonder said while I handed him the can. He looked like a kid who was given candy and nothing like a universe-destroying threat. Here, take this should be enough to beat that bar lady, said Beyonder, pushing his hand through my body and then leaving while playing with the can. Back to reality. Should we be worried that he is glowing? Steve asked. I don't think so, and if it is a problem then I don't think we can solve this, Bruce said. I opened my eyes to see Bruce, Steve and Natasha looking at me. You are a glow stick too? Natasha asked. Sometimes, it helps in shooting in the dark, I replied. Where's Fury? I asked. Barton attacked when you were asleep, we apprehended him and Fury decided to take him, Natasha replied. Wait, so Barton thought that he could stop me with some arrows? He must be pretty out of his mind then. At least we have him with us now. We will be able to get him back to normal now, said Steve, scratching his hair. This place looks in scramble, why don't you all move row the side while I fix it all? I willed Beyonder's power that I had in me and tried to combine it with mine. I felt high, euphoric is the better word for it. So much power, I felt like I could slap Lady Death right now and she wouldn't even be able to retaliate. And that's exactly what I did. I pulled all the souls that had died back. In a low voice, barely audible by others, I said, let there be life. Third-person perspective. Suddenly all those bodies that died arose and floated in the sky. Bodies that were trapped in rubble flew out of them. Bodies that had appendages missing and other that had bones bent or broken in different ways suddenly starting cracking and mending themselves back up. The buildings that were broken starting repairing themselves back up. It looked like someone had reversed time. All the alien bodies rose up and turned to dust. Slowly the whole of New York was covered in a golden light, and when that light subsided, people stood on ground with shock, awe and tears. All those that had died came back alive. /N. I have a coding test for a job on 10th. Pray that I ace it and get the job. Enjoy.